Virgo, hello my darlings, how are you? Welcome to your reading for the week of the 15th of August 2022, or as always, whenever you find me is just perfect as well. Okay, Virgo, we have two cards. I'm being told not that one, thank you. Two cards from the Chakra Insight Oracle for you this week. We have inner child. The words on the card before I hold it up are playfulness, lightheartedness, innocence, and wonder. So Virgo, perhaps you might be tapping into your inner child this week, okay? And we also have base chakra, okay? So we will see what the rest of the cards obviously bring through. But the base chakra is about being connected, being grounded, being earthed into Mother Earth, feeling supported and nurtured and held and provided for, okay? And it may well be that those two things are quite related, all right? So, we need to really, the first thing we need to do before we work through any of our chakras or any higher levels is really to be grounded. So it may be this base chakra is saying that you are grounded, which does allow you to step into that inner child. As I said, we will see what else is coming through for you. From the Goddess Guidance Oracle cards, you have White Tara, and the words on the card are sensitivity. You're becoming increasingly sensitive. Avoid harsh relationships, environments, situations, and chemicals. Interesting. Okay. Virgo, the sense that I'm getting here is that this base chakra card that has just come out, I feel like this is advice for this very situation. So if you are feeling a little bit overwhelmed and increasingly sensitive to your environment, it's extremely important that you do be connected to that great base chakra, okay? That I'm getting the image of, even just standing barefoot on the earth, even if it's only for 10 minutes a day, it's that idea of being grounded is extremely, extremely important. If you are interested in learning more about that, I'm sure there's loads of meditations, guided meditations, etc., that you can access. But the idea is, if you've not done any of this type of work before, even if you just put yourself in a quiet space and allow, feel your feet on the ground and imagine you have tree roots coming out of your feet and reaching deep, deep, deep down into the earth. Now, for me, when I ground myself and connect into Mother Earth, this is what I do, and I take my roots all the way down through underground caves and caverns and filled with beautiful crystals and underground water, and then I take it all the way down into the core of Mother Earth, where I have a large version. Actually, it's a large version of the Ruby Record Keeper. So I imagine a giant version of my Ruby Record Keeper, which is a beautiful crystal. It holds all of the Akashic memories of across all times, across all dimensions. So I connect and wrap my roots around that in the center of the earth, and then I bring that energy up, obviously back into my body, and that allows me to be really well grounded and connected in to the earth. Now, I do that before I do all of my readings, and obviously I'm connecting into source as well. I am just connecting in to get these messages that those cards were not required. But you do have the World card. I got very distracted there, okay? Maybe somebody needed to hear that description of how I ground in. Maybe it is helpful to someone. I would not have ordinarily done that. So I do apologise that I got a little off track of the reading. But as I said, it has come through and is obviously necessary for someone for a reason. If that's you, drop a comment in the box below. I'd love to hear as well. We do have a card out from the Rider-Waite Smith Tarot deck, and you have the World, Virgo. So the World is about completion of cycles. It's about coming to the end of a cycle. Okay, so the World is the end of the Fool's journey through the major arcana. It could also represent for some of you travel, and it could even be world travel, obviously, but it is about achievements. It's about completing those cycles, having achieved whatever it is that you set out to achieve, and probably more, to be honest. So this is a really lovely card to obviously get in any reading, because it does indicate that you can now kind of step back and go, wow, look at all that I have achieved, and you can do it proudly. And I'm just getting a sense with that inner child, it takes someone I'll put these cards down. So it takes someone who's been around the block to be able to kind of, I feel like it's almost rising above the chaos of the world. So I'm getting this idea of the Wheel of Fortune in my head, a picture of that in my head. And, the Wheel of Fortune, it turns and turns and turns. And sometimes it can be chaotic because you're up and then you're down and you're around, and it can feel like a bit of a roller coaster. So to get to this point of the world, okay, you've been around the block, you've done that whole journey. So you've got some wisdom underneath your belt. And what that potentially has done has allowed you to step into this place where you're moving past chaos, you're moving past the things that are happening in the everyday world. And there's a lot going on in the world that in the moment, that if you are sensitive, okay, coming back to this tarot card, you're becoming increasingly sensitive. If you're very sensitive, that can kind of put you in a bit of a spin. So it's interesting. There's such different energies in here. But yeah, I don't know. For some reason, I feel like because you have reached this level of wisdom, is the word that's coming through, that's allowing you to step into your inner child. Okay, I'm just going to get into the rest of the reading. We'll see if anything else comes through with the rest of the cards. So the rest of the reading, I'm going to be using the Tarot of Curious Creatures by Chris Ann. So let's see what we have. The energy I'm looking for initially is the energy that's coming into the start of the week, and this is the energy which could be from last week, last month, last year. It is, as I said, the energy coming in, so we take it as the intuitive messages are dropping through, I guess. Okay, so Virgo, you have the moon. All right, so this energy coming in maybe, and you may have even got this card last week. This card came out quite a lot last week, and again, you're the second reading this week, and you're the second reading this week to get this card. Okay, so it could be again that we are all receiving kind of the same messages, and I know when I'm watching readers, or when I'm doing cards for myself, or when I'm doing cards for you guys, the messages that are coming through are very similar week to week, and they're very similar across all the signs. And so the way I interpret this is that there's all of this energy going on a collective level for us. But in any case, it's all good, all right? It's all perfect, in fact. So the energy coming in, as I said, to the start of this week is the energy of the moon. So what this tells me is that the moon you may have been working with the energy of the moon, whether consciously or unconsciously. But the idea of the moon is that you can see how bright it is. So we've just come off the back of the last supermoon of the year, in fact, only last night. I took a walk both for the last night and the night before, and under the full moon light. And it's really, what really hit home was how illuminating and how bright a full moon can actually be. Okay, so I was on my own. I don't particularly fancy walking the streets on my own for leisure, but it almost felt like I was walking under daylight. It was that bright. There were certain patches where the street lights, there were no street lights, and it was a little bit darker. But the idea of the moon is that it highlights and lights up the way for you to see in the shadows, if you will. The idea with the moon, in terms of what this might mean for yourself, is that it may have helped you to identify. And ordinarily I would say, like patterns, blocks, triggers, a bit of, a bit of darkness there, but I feel like what it's actually doing is highlighting maybe some sensitivities for you, okay? So the other message I've just had drop in is that those sensitivities, excuse me, may in fact be in relation to your inner child. So for some of you, there may be some patterns or some fears or anxieties that stem from you as a child. So there may be an invitation for you to work with this inner child, work with your inner child this week. So as I said, do take it as it resonates. Obviously, a reading will not resonate for absolutely everyone. So there may be aspects of the reading that you go, yeah, that sounds like me, and then others that go, no, that doesn't really fit me at all. So do take what resonates, and as I said, leave the rest behind. The energy moving out of the week for you, Virgo, is the Hierophant. And interesting. So far, before we go any further, the 3 tarot cards that we've got out are 3 major arcana. We've still got a few to go. But the 3 major arcana so far indicate you do have some big shifts and big changes going on. Now, the Hierophant, this particular Hierophant anyway, talks about where are you receiving your guidance? Where are you receiving your education? All right, again, I'm coming back to this inner child. You know, were you taught things as a child that maybe now that you have developed into your own quirky individual personality, it doesn't fit the way that your true self identifies, okay? The thing about this particular Hierophant, it asks you to look at maybe what belief patterns have been in place for you in the past, and it asks you whether they are still relevant, okay? It asks you whether you can be your best guide. It asks you whether you are the best person, your higher self, your connection to source, again, however your beliefs sit around that. But, you know, I guess it's asking if you are seeking guidance from outside of yourself, is that the right place to get that guidance, or can you be the best guide for yourself? The other message that's coming through is also to be very mindful of this idea of guruism. And I don't know, I don't know whether it could just be me. I'm a little sensitive to it at the moment, White Tara sensitive. But I do feel like there's this idea of, there's a lot of people now online, a lot of people that people follow, and they sort of take their word as gospel. So the advice that's coming through for you, my friends, is just absolutely take what resonates for you, but kind of use a critical eye on the information that you're receiving, and check in with yourself whether you know that to be true, okay? Just because somebody has a high profile and tells you XYZ doesn't mean that you have to believe that. So check in with yourself, because yourself will know if it's BS or not, okay? And as I say, check in with yourself. That's your higher self or your guides or source, you know, as I said, however that feels for you is okay. Again, I'm not a guru. I am learning as much as the next person. So anything I say, obviously, you know, take with a grain of salt as well, and check it in with yourself to see if it's true for you. So I do feel like, you know, this could be energy leaving the week into next week, next month, next year. I do feel like this is like a continual thing you're being asked to do, to continually assess where you're receiving wisdoms and guidance from, potentially. Okay. So the next card out I'm looking for will be for obstacles and blocks, gifts or strengths for the week. And we have the Knight of Swords. Okay. So Virgo, the Knight of Swords in and of itself, okay, it's a card of movement. It's a card of things are happening, and they're happening very quickly, okay. It can also be the energy of like a knight in shining armor. So there's two ways to interpret this card really in terms of its positioning. So this could either be, as I said, a strength or a gift for you this week. It could be someone coming in to be your knight in shining armor. It could be someone coming in to, in inverted commas, rescue you, whatever that means, Hopefully you don't need rescuing. Hopefully you're in a position to be your own rescuer, like this Hierophant here suggests. Be your own teacher, be your own rescuer, Do you really need rescuing? I don't know. The other thing that's coming through is it could be an obstacle or a block. And in terms of this position in this particular instance, is that the Knight of Swords can be a little bit too hasty, okay? Are you rushing into something too quickly? All right, I don't quite know what that is. We don't have enough cards here to really go into that. I'll pull the rest of the cards. We may have to come back and clarify that and clarify whether it is a gift or a strength or whether it's or what it's relating to. So we will just keep going and it may become clear to us. All right, this may be why. Okay. So you have the Seven of Cups, and this is in the position of career and finances. So I feel like there could be a little bit of confusion that you are in at the moment, Virgo. So you could be like not sure which way to go. And with that, you have the Knight of Wands. And again, the Knights are about action, particularly the Knight of Wands is about action, about taking action. It's about stepping out and being bold and brave and taking charge and chasing down something that you're passionate and excited about. But at the moment, you kind of might be spoiled for choice, all right? You might have a number of different options that are before you and you are very confused and you don't know which way to go. Now, this Knight, if we pull it up from the table, is heading in to meet the Knight of Wands coming the other way. So I do feel like all of this energy that is moving, it's moving towards that confusion. So that may make you feel even more confused again. And again, I'm being brought back to this White Tara sensitivity card. So when we feel overly, I guess, overwhelmed, when we've got too many options, we can feel overwhelmed. We can feel very confused, and that will potentially leave us in this state where we are hypersensitive. Okay, we might be a little bit jumpy is the word that's coming through as well. So I want to be able to give you some advice on that confusion and that Knight of Swords. Again, I'll just get the extra couple of cards here and then we'll come back to it. All right. Okay, we do have the Three of Cups. This is in the position of health, and this is health in terms of body, mind, and soul. So the Three of Cups, this is about celebration. It's about joy. It's about abundance, having all the good things around you. So in terms of health, body, mind, and soul, you should be feeling pretty good. The only thing coming up for me there, the Three of Cups is a really, you can see how much joy is in that card. There is a slight message coming through for some of my Virgos is maybe be a little bit mindful if you're drinking too much, okay? This is a hell of a party that these guys are having here in the Three of Cups. So just a word of wisdom for some of my Virgos, maybe be a little bit careful if you are celebrating it too much. The final card here I'm going to get out is in terms of relationships. I don't know what is happening to my shuffling lately. I need to talk to my guides and ask for clearer messages to come through my shuffling. Okay. I did get very excited last week with the Lionsgate portal energy and reading, and I put a bunch of the Blue Lotus oil on my palms. And I do think that may have made this particular deck a little bit sticky. Okay. So in terms of relationships, oh, wow. Okay. So you've got the Five of Pentacles with the Sun. All right. So hopefully we can blend these two cards together. and say that in terms of relationships, you may have been feeling a little bit left out in the cold. You may have been feeling a little bit neglected and unwanted and unsupported. And perhaps now you are stepping into, or will be stepping into, this idea of joy and abundance and feeling like you are in a really good place in terms of relationships. Okay, so the sun is about brightness and happiness and great fortune and joy and all of those good things. So that's the sense that's coming through. And if it's not, if you are still in this idea of the Five of Pentacles feeling a little bit kind of woe me, what about me? It isn't fair. I've had enough. Now I want my share. Can't you see? I'm sorry. If you are still stuck in that energy, that hopefully you can use this, use this reading to help to illustrate that the sun it's out that window, all right? So you can see, if we can see out this window, you can see the bamboo, and I'm not sure if you can quite see it, but there is a bright sunshine in the background there. So it really is about taking action. Okay, so the fives are this idea of pivot point. They're about being on the cusp or on the pinnacle of things turning around, things improving, things changing. So if you are feeling a little bit left out in the cold, use that energy and use that momentum to move forward and step into this energy of the sun. Okay, I do hope that makes sense. All right, I do just want to pull a couple of cards. I'm going to go back to the Rider-Waite Smith just to clarify this Knight of Swords energy and maybe the Knight of Wands as well. Let's have a look. Okay, so the Knight of Swords, if we look at the Knight of Swords again in terms of gifts and strengths, energies and blocks, we do have the Magician card has clarified here. The other card that did come up, and I don't read reversals, but it's come up in reverse and it's kind of almost asked me to leave it that way. So we have the Five of Swords in reverse. So I feel like what this Knight of Swords is actually, it's less about it being a block. It's more about it being a gift. And it's that gift of action. And the action that it's bringing in is this idea of you being the magician. It's this idea of you creating and manifesting and bringing in what it is that you want to bring in moving forward. So the other thing here too is that Five of Swords in reverse is saying that, again, you may be moving out, or you have moved out of a point or a time of conflict, okay? So it's a very kind of fortuitous energy that you have the potential to work with here in terms of gifts and strengths this week, okay? So that action of the Knight of Swords, the action of the Master Magician, and the fact that you can put any conflict, any difficult relationships or conversations or challenges, maybe put that behind you, because it is behind you by the looks of it here. Just see if I can get any additional clarification for you on that confusion with the Seven of Cups. Okay. So we have the Queen of Wands here come out with the Seven of Cups in terms of career and finances. And again, we do have, I can grab that as well, we do have that Knight of Wands as well. So the Seven of Cups, that card of confusion there, is now being, I guess, offsided either side by two very, very strong Wands cards. So that says to me, if you are in a point of confusion with the Seven of Cups, is to follow where your passions lie. Follow what brings you excitement and joy and happiness, and make the choice from that place, okay? Make that choice from a place of knowing who you are. The other thing here is that she is in her yellow robe, and you can see the sunflower over her shoulder there as well. So that sunflower is similar to the sun that we had in the reading as well. So it is this, I guess, this idea of, if you're needing to make a choice, make that choice that's in line with your true authentic self, that's going to bring in this happiness, joy, and abundance. Okay. All right. My darling Virgos, I do hope you enjoyed the reading. If you have, please do like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you again next week. All right, my friends. Bye-bye.